Thank you for watching and listening. And if you're here live, that's awesome. And if you're listening after the fact, either on YouTube or on the podcast stream, hi, thank you for being here. I'm Chris, and I'm here with Jim McCormick, and we are here to. I have producer Dave laughing in my ear. We're here to preview Week 16 in the NFL. Do I have that right, Jim?
Yes, that's our job. Just
Week
the best previewers ever.
I don't know my big problem is I don't know the week exactly. I was just saying to Dave before we got going that I feel like I've been kicked in the head by a horse a little bit for this season, but I'm toughing it out. I'm toughing it out. I don't have a lot of knowledge. It feels most of it's left.
As a school teacher coming down the end here, in addition to the weirdness of the NFL season, I'm just lost too. I'm just like, it's whatever day it is. I just know that I'm going to make fun of the Cowboys. Let's go.
We're brought to you by DraftKings. We really appreciate DraftKings continuing to help us bring you this fun show where we talk about all the games, some of the games. I mean, we'll mention all the games. We're not going to go into great detail about some of them. We'll probably make some picks against the spread. Also, at some point, amidships, somewhere along the line, we are going to do 5 minutes of fantasy, which is fun because the people who are live in the chat, we're going to look and ask their fantasy questions. I'm looking in the chat right now. I see Gabriel Gonzalez, who was here before anybody else, because I did tweet out and skeet out the link, and Gabriel just said hello. He took advantage of his status in the chat as being the first one. He just said hello, and I think that's great. Tom said, trying not to crash my car, go Birds. Gary the stuffed animal, Gary the eagle there in the background for Jim agrees, go Birds. Amplified Truck says woo. Anthony says just crashed my car. Devin said don't crash your car. Jaquan said work has kicked me in the head this week. Anthony says I can't see the video. I think Anthony maybe hit refresh. That's maybe a you problem, but we welcome you very, very much. Bill says I see a burly lumberjack ready to chop up these picks. I think he means you, Jim.
I mean, if you want to build a log cabin on Mount 500, let's do it.
We got Kevin, we got Ty. Anthony says he's good. We're so happy that you're here joining us for this live stream. And if you're listening after the fact, I think you'll have some fun too. I want to congratulate last week. Wash You Tiger was the person who I don't know actually whether it was the chat or posted in the comments afterwards, but they had a correct pick for the week. It was the Texans. I was on the Texans as well. That wound up being a relatively easy cover by NFL standards. So great job, Wash You Texans. And maybe we'll shout you out next week. So pay attention to how that might happen. Jim, you ready to start talking through these games?
I am. I like this week. So.
All right. Well, you've said like 8 times already before we even hit record that you like this week. I don't even remember this week already. So last week, I believe I went 8-6 in picking games against the spread. You were 8-8. We were both 1-1 with our best bets, and we're both over 500. So, I recognize that you're looking up at me and I'm great, but hey, you made a good rally here.
I mean, look, like you said, when I mentioned the arbitrary thing about receivers, I said something like, there's 5 receivers at 1,000 yards. And it's so arbitrary. It's like, what does that mean against? So with that in mind, completely lost my train of thought. Let's go.
All right. Thursday night, the Broncos are visiting the Chargers, and the Chargers laid a real serious egg against Tampa at home last week. And I think that's very clearly affected the money on this game, and it's affected kind of the perception of this game. These two teams, obviously, the division rivals, they played in Denver. It was Chargers -3, I believe. So in Denver on the road with a real crowd, as opposed to the Chargers crowd, which won't be a real crowd. The Chargers were favored by a field goal not that long ago, half season ago or so, and it's very clear that the market's perception of the Chargers has changed a lot. Do you think that is a wise change?
Yeah, I would adjust. I mean, I suppose the big story coming out of last week would be that they gave up all these points, right? And continued to get beat on these kind of, you were expecting them to happen, double moves from Mike Evans, and they were just like, okay, didn't know that was happening. But I mean, I suppose like that would maybe be the story if you looked at the box score, like, wow, they really gave up a lot of points to Baker Mayfield. I watched
in the second half. Yeah, in the second half.
When it got crazy in the second half. It was a game early, but I suppose my point, what was a continuum the whole time, was just the sputtering Chargers offense. and they just like couldn't find themselves. And I get it. The Bucs did get a little healthier on defense, but I just feel like I've been kind of like just saying that Herbert's going to make it work, but I don't know. We've talked a lot about Washington and how like there's like this cliff for the cliff offense. Like there might be this is like the Roman never happened phase. Like you know what I mean? I don't know what you call this.
I mean, we on the show haven't I said like on 8 consecutive weeks isn't Justin Herbert running out of excuses? Somehow yes. There's so many people who carry water for Justin Herbert, and I'm kind of one of them. I think he might be great.
I just did
it. Yeah, but like you did it last week too. We keep having the same conversation where now it's like, well, he's hurt again. What are you gonna do? Right. The guy's hurt again. Well, I mean, something's always wrong. There's a Toad the Wet Sprocket song that dates me as a Gen Xer, but by God, it was correct. Something's always wrong.
Yeah, there's an Embiid thing happening. I hate to say it, but it's like eventually that falls away. Like now Embiid is catching it. But I'm saying for like 8 years, it was like everything else is falling apart. It's like, well, guys, like there's one person that's involved in all these stories, So just in the comparison of that, there's always some context to it. So in that case, I've also was impressed by Denver because they didn't have a good looking Bo Nix game. Like it was gross. Oof. And somehow like the Sean Payton like formula, they just were able to get the ball back a lot. Right. So
also Jonathan Taylor dropped it at the goal line and Marvin Mims had a 90-yard punt return.
They shouldn't really have been in that game. They were given the invitation though and took it. So I thought that was impressive enough. Also, if Justin Herbert was in a world where he had a Bo Nix name, it would be Blaine Laser. So
Blaine Laser. Yeah. I think if Blaine Gabbert had just legally changed his name, he would clearly still be in the league. At age, how old is Blaine Gabbert?
Like not 26. That old, right? No, I don't know. He's like 35. I don't know.
He could be in the league for sure. You ready for the Jimmy double reverse mega flip backflip?
All right, so
Chargers.
This is the punt. This is double reverse. This is the miracle in Tennessee. But actually, I'm taking the points with Denver. So yeah,
I'm taking Chargers -2.5. I just think it's too much of a swing and a little too much respect given to Bo Nix having looked bad last week. The line started at 3. Money came in on the Denvers, no question. It went to 2.5 as of recording this. But I think I'm going to be on the Chargers. I just think it's a little too much. I still think the Chargers are better. Bo Nix has gotten lots of praise because there are a lot of really loud Denver Bronco fans in the world. Sorry, Bronco fans, love you. Yeah. I don't think he's very good. Okay, then we have 2 Saturday games, and I'm just making myself laugh because the setup is so ridiculous. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes, high ankle sprain. Oh my God. Like there's this massive media investment in Patrick Mahomes being seriously hurt. Yeah. And then it comes out that he has a mild high ankle sprain. Yeah. There's no such thing as a mild high ankle sprain.
It's great. It's a mild back surgery. Like what? No, you either had it or you didn't. Stop it. So.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in my favorite sport, and he's awesome, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I'm not saying anything bad about him other than he's the biggest diva in the world. Yeah. And there's this support mechanism to make it. Everybody just wants him to be that much more super heroic. Can you believe he beat the Texans on one leg? I can't believe it. Like, can't we just say he kind of got hurt, but like, he's okay and he'll play and he'll probably win. But I guess that's just not enough.
It kind of sounded like him working out too, probably like that. It was like his Monster Energy drink. He's like Monster. So yeah. They also I think need because the narrative at this team is so it's what you've been saying, but like they haven't picked up on that part of it, that it's actually this thing. I don't know, this repetitive wait for you to mess up thing, but they've lost the zeal. Like they know that Mahomes team's not coming, so they'd rather now talk about like how limited he'll be because they know this spectacular show is probably not coming. So they're like, let's watch see if he can walk. They really want him to limp bad. Like they want it.
Dude, like the Browns game, that's a great pass rush, and they were all over him. And this is legitimately worrisome. I'm not trying to like whistle past the graveyard. Their tackles stink. They're in potential trouble. But I just think the Patrick Mahomes thing is hilarious. Like he's gonna be okay, guys. I'm pretty sure there's no such thing as a mild high ankle sprain. Isn't a high ankle sprain like kind of a broken leg?
Yeah, I mean it's like a splitting of those two parts of like those like parts of the ankle. Like there's actually a separation that happens,
but mildly.
Yeah, Like I remember I saw Tyler Eifert's like stuff, and I was like, oh, like yeah.
Well, this Houston offense also kind of wants to wait around, and certainly against Miami last week didn't like super impress us.
Right.
Nico Collins scored 2 touchdowns and had less than 20 yards receiving or something like that.
Yes.
So like this is going to be the battle of the wait around offenses. The Chiefs are favored by 3. How are you leaning on that one?
Yeah, so I really was impressed by Houston's defense in that game. Like they were really flying all over the field, and Derek Stingley's like special. Like he's in the conversation of because at first it was like he was a splash play guy, and I wasn't sure, but he's just really special. Like the stuff he can do, he can like really kind of tilt the field. But that said, like I don't think that's going to change everything for the Chiefs. Like it's not going to be so surprising for them. I suppose my thing is I don't buy the Houston offense what they did. Like I like what you said. Like I don't think it was that special. I don't think Miami's defense is really that great right now. So that's my thing is that I think this isn't like there's already been a correction with the close game thing, and it's here. And I think I'm going to give the points because I just think, like you mentioned with the Chargers, I think the correction for the narrative with the Chiefs is here. I don't know how much the injury factors in, but I think it's close enough that I'll take it. I don't buy the point thing. I don't buy the Texans offense yet. They can't run. So
yeah, well, I mean they could until Joe Mixon got
whatever's happening, right? Yeah,
hip dropped again,
right.
So yeah, I'm on the Chiefs. Yeah. I'm on the Chiefs as well. One week we get burned and we're like, no more. We're not messing around. We'll just take the better team. All good. All right, and then the second game on Saturday is Steelers Ravens, and you got to see the Steeler magic up close and personal, and it wasn't very magical indeed.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, the splits, we used to see this all the time with Brady. They're not great. It's not a very great thing to do, meaning like Gronk on and off, or, now they're showing these with Pickens. With Pickens on and off, and depth of target of all this stuff. But it's also just like they don't have a replacement for that, and that's on them. But that's what was missing. Like they just couldn't do anything downfield, and that's where Russ at least has to have the threat. So I just think I don't know how much I learned from that game other than that.
Mike Williams is not the solution.
Yeah, that like this game it's very important for me. Like that Pickens would play, and so the fact that he's still missing is a factor for me and how I'm looking forward to this. And I think not that he's like some huge line mover, but if their offense looked good against Philly, it wouldn't be 6, and now it's moved to 6.5 in some markets. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I was on the Steelers side last week against the Eagles. Not that I thought they were going to win, but that they just tended to keep things close, and Philly had been doing their best to keep everybody in games, and then they picked that week to go ham. When these teams played in Pittsburgh, and obviously Pittsburgh won that game, we came on the next week and said, oh my God, do we have to reassess the effect that the Steeler defense has on Lamar Jackson? Right. And then Lamar goes and roasts a bunch of bad defenses, and we're like, forget all that. I still TJ Watt, he got hurt at the end of the game, but so far it seems like he's going to play. Yeah. If he's in there, I don't disregard what the Steeler defense tends to do to Lamar Jackson. No,
I mean that's the thing. I mean, not that it was a huge point of demarcation. I think that the Steelers' offense was already having like sputtering, but when he went down, it just like even Lane Johnson mentioned it. Like he's just a game changer. So it's early in the week, but they're saying like he's limping, but he's TJ Watt. Like so, if he's on the field, he's gonna do stuff. Yeah. He's a huge factor for me in this. Also, but my thing is that like this line bakes in a lot of the stuff the Steelers have against them. And I'm going to take the points because I think it could be a closer game than that. And also, if a TJ Watt shows up and a Pickens shows up somehow, then I just think this is a closer game than 6. So, I said it at more like 4. Right. I still think like in a power ranking, you would put the Ravens higher, but there's this sense that you would put them so much higher. And given the effect that I've seen that Steeler defense have on Lamar and the rest of it, I don't think that there's a huge gap between those two teams. So I think I would also probably, I don't feel strongly about it, but I also would be probably taking the points here. Let's take a break before we get to the Sunday action and thank DraftKings for continuing to sponsor. If you're watching and thinking, boy, it's been fun to see these doofuses warble their pork every Wednesday night, it would sure be nice to give them a little support. The way to do that, if you've never downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app, please do so. Sign up using the code HarrisTube, all one word. Then you make one $5 bet, and if you get that bet correct,
you'll get $150 in bonus bets put into your account, which you can then spread through these games and through lots of props and over-unders and all that stuff. So if you already have the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you're cool. But if you don't, a way that you can help us out is you use that code HarrisTube, all one word, and we would very much appreciate that. Before we get back into the action, also, maybe we should do a like spike. What do you think, Jim?
I think it's time.
Let's do a like spike, which means hit the like button if you're here live, which, yeah, we got a lot of people here live. I appreciate y'all being here. So here we go. We're going to hit the like button all the same time in 3, 2, 1. Hit it. I'm watching the video of myself go through the perambulations, and there I go. I'm seeing myself do. Oh, there we go. All right. I see all these likes coming in. Thank you, all you live folks. We appreciate it so much. We're going to do 5 minutes of fantasy with you here in just a little bit. And Gary the Bear is making an appearance, or did make an appearance. I now am behind because I was watching the wrong screen, but Gary's coming. Believe me, guys, you don't have to worry. Gary's showing up on this show. There's really no stopping him. I'm going to speed through a couple of the early games, and you can just maybe make a pick against the spread. Although it is funny, we could spend a second on Kirk Cousins because he's gone. He's gone. He's finally gone. He hasn't played very well for 2 months or so. The Giants are traveling to Atlanta to take on Michael Penix, and if you need an indication of the state of the Giants, that they are facing a first-time ever quarterback, and they are 8.5-point underdogs.
It's incredible. And we've asked this question before, like with a lot of situations. I just mentioned it a little bit about Pickens. Like, what would the influence, particularly a quarterback, right? There's a weight to that. Like, if what would the line shift be if Kirk Cousins was out? Well, nothing. I mean, maybe the other way, or like negative. Like,
yeah, I think it's the other way.
-1,
yeah.
like or whatever. So like. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot to say other than this. Is like this Giants team is particularly and interestingly bad at this point, and I think Penix is going to be an improvement. Like, they
hung out with the Ravens for a little while in that game because Lamar fumbled real early,
sure.
But they never were going to stop him. Like, it's just a matter of how long they wanted to take to drive. Should any rookie quarterback be getting 8.5 points? This is almost like a philosophical question.
Yeah, I suppose it's like this. It is because I don't even know what the baseline is for this Atlanta offense because it's been so kirked up, and so yeah, This is really unique. I had this lower than this, so I guess I'm going with the Giants again. So
I'm gonna go with the Falcons just to be different, but I think you're crazy if you play this game with any sort of real scratch. I think it's a real mistake. And then you can just give me a pick.
Sure.
I think we really need to pour one out for Dave Piper because with Will Levis benched, the silliest thing video is going to be like a minute and a half long. Like it's just.
That game was incredible. Like, I would watch that game on a cell phone. Like, there were 10 turnovers in that game. Will Levis had 14 dropbacks and 4 turnovers. It's an art form. He's the Jackson Pollock of turnovers. Like, well,
he's done, and it's funny. I mentioned this on the proper podcast earlier in the week. There was someone on the show a couple weeks ago where we were like just kind of riffing on. Maybe it was even here. Maybe it was with you. Were we riffing on like teams that are going to replace their quarterbacks? And I said Tennessee, and I can't remember whether you were like, really, Tennessee? And I was like, yeah, man. Yeah. he's done. Like, they have to go get someone else for sure.
Yes.
The question is, does the coach survive? But anyway, Anthony Richardson stinks too.
Yes, he does.
The Colts are 3.5-point favorites against Tennessee. Who do you got?
Right, I'm going to take them just because I think Tennessee's defense is competent enough, and they're just going to try the same stuff, but without Anthony Richardson. Like
without Mason Rudolph, you mean?
No,
I mean without Will Levis.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that well. They're going to try the same strategy that the Colts try, except they don't have Anthony Richardson on their side. They're just going to try to pound it and not make mistakes, but that's not going to work if you have Anthony Richardson. So, meaning Mason Rudolph is going to be a better manager, I suppose, is what I should say.
All right, I'm also on Tennessee plus 3.5. I don't think it's like huge value, but whatever. Yeah. All right, let's get to a game we can actually talk about. The Detroit Lions are going to visit Chicago, and first of all, you can just go ahead and say it because obviously Jared Goff outdoors. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's dangerous. There's talk of there being a theoretical dome in terms of confidence, and also Dan Campbell might actually just create one because he's a Marvel character with tobacco.
So Detroit is missing On defense, they're missing everyone.
Yes.
And then on offense, they're missing David Montgomery, and I think everyone else is back, actually. Thanksgiving, that game that was so crazy, and the Bears obviously should have kicked a field goal there at the end, and it's got Eberflus fired. The Lions were a 9-point favorite at home in that game against the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I will set this up by saying I actually maybe think there's something to Jared Goff outside in December. I usually make fun of it. I'm a little worried about that, especially in light of you talk about a defense that Jared Goff historically does have some problems with here. Historically, whatever, the past few years, it's the Bears playing zone. And the Bears the Eberflus system was to play a lot of zone, and against a lot of teams, they look real bad. But Jared Goff is the ultimate Amon-Ra St. Brown man coverage, running an in cut. I can hit it 10 times out of 10. Sam Laporta playing man on the in cut, I can hit 10 times. Zone defense, he has a little bit of a problem. I mean, Buffalo zone last week, he went crazy against because they're winning by 30 points.
And relaxed, right.
Yeah, the defense is all on the 30 yards away from the line of scrimmage. But I legitimately think the reason Goff quasi-struggled on Thanksgiving is because this Bears defense. And I once again, I'm not sure that much has changed.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. Also, they want you to bite on that stuff because they want to get their guys in motion like free runners. They love yak is kind of what I'm saying. And that's their thing.
Right.
I don't know why I still hold on to that. I think they stay in games because Chicago's defense, and also, am I crazy that he's not good, Caleb Williams? He's not very good right now. But I do he's taking care of the ball better. Like I don't feel as crazy with him. So
it's so specific. The way that he's bad is so specific. It's not Anthony Richardson bad. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh my God, there are 11 things going wrong here. I said this on the podcast earlier this week. To me, it's his definition in his mind of what open means in the NFL, a receiver being open, is just incorrect. Right. He's waiting for a degree of openness from his receivers that is just never going to happen. He's not throwing with anticipation, and it causes him to pull it down and run around in situations where Troy Aikman could clearly show us on a replay, because he's awesome, that dude, you got a receiver open here, you got a receiver open here. That's open in the NFL. You have to throw that ball.
Right. He's waiting for something else to occur. Right.
But to your point, like, it isn't happening. And then he gets himself all twisted up and battered, and his accuracy numbers all look terrible, because who would be able to throw well getting killed on the run? Like,
6 seconds in. Right.
So I don't know if I'm without hope for him if somebody can get through to him, whoever the next coach is. Like, if it's Vrabel with McDaniels, isn't that the latest rumor that maybe that's the way the Bears are leaning? Like, I could imagine it getting better. But your point would be that it's probably not going to get better for Sunday.
So it sounds like I want to see the glimmer of hope, but it feels completely like not a second destination because he's going to be there, but a second regime or second philosophy that needs to really change this. With that in mind, Detroit, with all of their beatdowns, I had this at 7, and I think there's a chance that they just are like, whatever, we're just going to
blow doors.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take the Goff outside theory and take the points. I'm taking the Bears. Plus 6.5. Well, we did Freaky Friday. We switched our little tiny dumb brains.
I know.
The Aaron Rodgers is in the news. Let's not talk about that. Oh, what a dingus that guy is. Instead, let's talk about the Rams, because they are coming off a very big win in San Francisco, coming off a very big win at Buffalo. I mean, home against Buffalo, but kind of at Buffalo.
Kind of road
and now they're traveling all the way across the country, and this is the literal dictionary definition, literally, of a trap game being a road favorite at Aaron Rodgers, who now has reestablished himself as both an absolute pud, but also, like, at least he's made some noise on the field as well. The Rams are 3.5-point favorites at MetLife. What do you think about this game?
So what's difficult for me is that I've kind of like checked out on the Jets, like, not that I ever had any emotional investment in them, but just the idea of them being like any sort of real threat, they kind of showed themselves not to be that, right? In terms of just, there was this kind of fun tier of the AFC I was trying to figure out. Like, not fun, but like who are the frisky, like the NFC has several of them, for example. And I really couldn't, you can't trust this team is the thing, the Jets. But now recently, like without me watching, they're like putting up points, and like I just keep, like, they're open and they throw touchdowns, and Garrett Wilson is like alive and is in the box score. I guess most what I'm saying is the one fear for me here of saying that they're dead and that the Rams just roll in this game is that the one way to this is really easy, it sounds like a simple, like a horrible quote, but like scoring points is a good way to keep up with the Rams, but truly putting pressure on those corners who are like really just nobodies, not to be rude. Like,
you say that, but haven't they played much better? Like, I get it. The first game, the first half against San Francisco's a rainstorm, so like we're throwing that completely away. But I mean, after that, Jawan Jennings is a good player, and they couldn't really get him open. George Kittle's a good player, and they often do line him up out wide. Right. And if they were going to attack those corners, I feel like they've gotten better.
I could be just being a hater and looking at like earlier examples of them getting cooked, right? And Josh Allen's putting up 40 on everybody right now, so it's not a great example. Right. So this will be a good test of that. At the same time, I'm not trusting Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, buddy. I'm not afraid of you. Zoop, there's my turnaround. Ayahuasca, bing, I'm out.
Ayahuasca, bing. We're both on the Rams -3.5. All right, it's Gary's time to shine.
Yeah, dude. Let me say, first of all, dude, I'm so disappointed in this dude. First of all, what's he wearing? Second of all, you know what I mean?
Jack.
Yeah, he hasn't picked the birds in like 2 weeks. Guess what? Why is he not doing as good with his best bets? What was his real secret to best bets? Was it the Eagles? I think it was. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's afraid to sit down and have heart-to-heart with Nick Sirianni. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's got the wrong Spotify list on. All right? So let's just get it together and go Birds. And if you have any asbestos issues, give me a text. All right, go Birds.
Gary, always bringing the heat. I didn't hear Gary say the word water one time.
Water. Yeah, water ice. Watercress. I like watercress on my salad. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just water chestnuts. I don't know what that is. And you know what I mean? Waterfall.
Max in the chat goes, Gare Bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's not a Ponzi scheme. I'm in the middle of it. You know what I mean?
It can't be a Ponzi scheme. I'm not at the top.
Yeah.
All right. The people who are listening on the podcast are like, what is happening right now? It's a stuffed animal. Yeah, sorry, everybody. But you should really come at 8:00 Eastern on Wednesday night. You get to see a chance of Gary. You get to see me crying with laughter. That would be fun for you to see as well. We should talk the football part of this a little bit, even though I know Gary is going to tell you which way to go. When these teams met the last time, it was kind of the day of reckoning for Jaden Daniels. And we think maybe it was the game he got hurt in. Am I right about that?
Or we thought maybe it was the week before against the Steelers, possibly. Okay. But right around then. So either way, they started protecting him and changing the game plan, it seemed.
Right. And so if nothing else coming out of their bye, we could say that was certainly not the case against New Orleans last week.
Right.
Not this kind of defense Philadelphia has, but a not terrible defense. And Daniels ran a lot and scrambled to throw. And like it looked more like September last week.
It absolutely did. It did. Yeah.
So you're an Eagle fan. What's your level of concern that he can do it to you?
Yeah. I mean, I think the defense is really good. I think one of the ways to give it some issues is to run around and get more time because they are going to get to you. And so, I mean, the pressure is going to come just because they have interior pressure. I just think that's going to happen. Yeah. And Fangio's going to create it somehow. But I do think the issue is that they pass off in these zones. And if you break that up, if you have more time, you could do some work. Like, he's a threat to this team right now, in my opinion. Like, it's a really good test too, because I don't know how many good quarterbacks you're going to get a chance to face with this Eagles schedule. That's, one of the So, but who they have faced, they've done well against. But I guess also what I'm interested in is, like what does Washington do? They don't. Not that they had all these tricks last time, but it just also does feel like there's less options, I guess, skill player wise. Between like Eckler was really leaned on in that game, and even the fact that Noah Brown's not great, but he did serve a valuable purpose for them, like stretching the field next to McLaurin. I'm just saying, I wonder if this team just says we're not going to let McLaurin do anything, and just see what happens.
Yeah. I actually also want to ask, that's great analysis, and I want to ask you the other way too. We had the lots of blah, blah, blah about how the passing game doesn't work, and then the Eagles come out and throw it, like 10 times out of the first 13 plays or something against the Steelers, which you wouldn't have thought they could do. And I don't know if Jalen Hurts looked great doing it, but he looked good enough. And actually it was Barkley who struggled. I don't look at The way I want to beat Washington's defense is definitely via the air.
Right. Yeah, and I think the only thing that I really was so positive to me. There were still times that I was screaming at my TV. So was Garrett. To be honest, he's more of a screamer. But about the timing, about holding on to it, like I still was like, I just still wanted more, or just quicker. But there were times also that he was getting out, and also just trusting, like he has some of that issue that you said with Caleb Williams, that I have to see it, the separation, and he's years and years in and not seeing it, and years away from the college game where he had the Oklahoma separation. He doesn't have that, and so he does need to see it. But I thought that he was told and maybe listened, or I don't know if he was kicked out of the group chat, but like he was just throwing it at least to AJ Brown and saying, "You catch it," which at least is refreshing, because that's what you should do with AJ Brown. Yeah. I just don't buy that this is really their identity. Like, I think they'd rather still be more of that Saquon team. I think they met an opponent with Hayward and their intentions that it wasn't possible. So I don't think this is much of a trend or a fix or all those things. So 7 days before, they looked like stuck in mud against the Panthers. So
they did. Yeah, they kept winning games where we didn't think they looked very good. They got outgained 2 weeks in a row, and then we probably shouldn't forget all that. We also have the question of Barkley's health, which recording right now, we don't know. And I don't think we're going to get it. He's going to play, but at the end of that game, he's like shaking his head, pointing to his ankle, and came out when they were running the clock out. Mm. I mean, that would be a game changer. I wouldn't like the Eagles' chances very much this year in the playoffs without Saquon.
No, I mean, he's their identity. I mean, it's great. You can do all these great quotes about Kenny Gainwell. Like, that's just cute. All right, come on, that's just cute. He got you nice socks. Stop it. Like, at the same time, we also have to say, if we're talking about the trend with the Eagles and not to buy it, just trends, and do you buy them? I don't exactly buy the going to the Saints and having Jay Daniels look like that, because I just think a few plays in, if you expose him, and this team, one thing this Eagles team does well, that, not to say that they haven't done this in forever, but compared to a lot of the NFL, they tackle. They really do. Like, that's their ending plays. It's simple. Like, good rebounding teams, what do? They just end the possession. They end possessions, and I think that's going to be an issue for Jaden Daniels. Like, meaning it's not going to be as free as it was against the Saints. Yeah,
for me, the Vic Fangio defense usually gets its comeuppance, but it usually happens against an expert. It usually happens against a quarterback who knows how to beat it, who knows, all right, you're going to play the shell? Cool.
Right.
Then I've got a way, Brady's got a way to go.
It's those pass-offs they do. It's when they pass the safeties, and they're going to say, when you do that next pass-off, I see it. And whereas I don't know that Daniels, it's not even, it's just, exactly, it's an experience thing. You have to be, it's like Drew Brees, like, good, it would just eat it up or something, or Phil Rivers.
Right. All right. Well, but for this game, I actually am on the Eagles -3.5.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, this dude told me, he told me I can't live there anymore, but I live, I'm on the lease. He's not on the lease. Gary's not on the lease.
He's not on the lease. Yeah. All right. How about we do 5 minutes of fantasy with our people who are here? We got a lot of people watching. Should we do that?
Let's do it.
All right. So I can't scroll back, but ask us some fantasy questions, and we will do our best. Different Jim asks, who do you like at a flex between Sam Laporta and Rashad Bateman this week?
Bateman is getting things done, but I think Laporta here. I think maybe the red zone. I don't know. Maybe am I reading into it? But maybe there's more red zone work there. I have no idea.
I think Bateman is so hard to trust. I mean, I gave such bad advice to somebody in our live stream on Sunday morning. I'm sorry about that, because they asked, should I use Bateman? I was like, don't use Bateman. I was, for a minute there, I was Patrick Mahomes. But I think I would use Laporta.
It's like pick your Ravens some weeks, which is weird. So, yeah.
So, by the way, if you have a single position question, you might not be that familiar with, like, my website, my deal, whatever. I have all these single position ranks that I spent hours poring over. All you have to go is harrisfootball.com. So if it's this quarterback or that quarterback, don't ask it here. We're not going to answer those here, or this running back, that running back, this wide receiver, that wide receiver, just because those are already on my website, harrisfootball.com. You can see them yourself. Tom asks, Cook or Sutton? James Cook or Cortland Sutton? That's a good one.
Yeah,
2 good players.
They've been really good. Sutton's been really good, different for me. He's more like the in, like, and I just mentioned Matt Harmon was talking about this. I was listening to him say it, but the in cutting stuff, I thought he was just a vertical guy. That said, Cook reversal.
Looking at my own ranks, I think it's Cook against the boy. We're gonna get to that Patriot game. I think they can do whatever they want. Where am I in the list? I don't want to miss out on anybody.
Tom was most recent, I believe.
Sir Gluten Frey says the Cajun Lawyer or Romeo Dobbs. Don't use the Cajun Lawyer. That was pretty easy. He just got signed.
Back home. He's back home where he's at. I'll tell you. He's home. Yeah. But no, don't do it.
No. That's a wide receiver question. Brian's, that's a tight end question, so you can go to harrisfootball.com. We got Rip Rager, who says Jonathan Taylor or DK Metcalf, two supposed to be stars who are not acting like it.
I'd say Taylor. I mean, his mistake was glaring, but he's still going to keep getting that ball. They're not going to go away from that. So, yeah.
I agree. Metcalf has been, if you have other options, he's hard to trust. I agree.
Yes.
We've got Brian saying, I have to sit one, DK, Brian Robinson, or Tajay Spears. And I think the answer there is probably you sit DK as long as Tony Pollard is out.
Exactly. It's about to say. It's about that because they're going to commit to their identity too. They're going to run.
Right. If Pollard is in, then probably you sit Spears.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Jose says Isaiah Pacheco or Romeo Dobbs. That's a hard one. Those guys are at the same level.
They are, and there's been splitting. But I suppose Pacheco, I just think like the chance to hammer one in is there. Dobbs, you would have to, again, you'd be betting on a big play itself. So they're kind of the same bet, but Pacheco's a better situation maybe.
I would say I'm close on them. I would say maybe if you need upside in your matchup, maybe go Dobbs because he is going to make the longer play. But yeah, if you need to make sure luck in something, maybe I would go Pacheco. Let's see. We got Thomas says, how about Michael Pittman or Isaiah Guerrero? Obviously, as of our recording this, Isaiah Guerrero has a hamstring thing. Sure. We don't actually know that it's anything real yet. So let's just assume for the sake of conversation that he's practices normally towards the end of the week. Yeah.
I would go with the back again. I mean, not that I always revert to this, but I think the way that they commit to their backs is consistent.
Plus, it's Michael Pittman, in an offense where the quarterback can't throw. Yeah,
he might throw it backwards. Yes,
right. Spencer Feathers says McMillan or Tajay Spears in a half point per reception.
That's difficult.
Assuming again, no Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'd do leaning Spears there, right? Like if that's the situation. If not, then I would go to McDaniel. So. Yep,
I think that's where I am too. Troy says, am I flexing Trey McBride or DJ Moore?
Ooh.
Two starters, clearly.
Yeah,
this is a good problem to have.
I'm going to go with Moore. I still think it's something can still happen there. They're going to still get it to him. So, yeah.
I'm going to mess it up by saying I pick McBride.
Okay.
I'm messing it up.
Get a touchdown this week. Watch. So
yeah. Anthony says Joe Mixon or Jacoby Myers, and it is again it's a Saturday game, so you'll know about Mixon's ankle and what they say about his ankle all throughout the week. So you'll have some information. Let's assume. I mean, I think if we knew Mixon was fine and he hadn't suffered the hip drop last week, then we would clearly be picking Mixon over Jacoby Myers. The reason Anthony's asking is because it's a potentially limited Joe Mixon.
Given the fact that you'll have the first shot at looking at it, meaning like you said, I would play Mixon. I would. If he's active, I'm playing Mixon. And then obviously that decision will be made for you.
I think that's probably right. I mean, let's face it, Aiden O'Connell will help Jacoby Myers.
Right.
But Jacoby Myers was stuck on 0 catches until those last 2 drives.
And Mixon can have like a good fantasy game, ugly real game, very realistically. So
absolutely. John says Chase Brown or Khalil Shakir. Again, these are champagne problems.
Sure, they are. I'm going with Brown. I mean, they just the offense isn't their problem. That he's in a good spot.
How about Niall says Judy or Ramondre? Judy with no Jameis, we should mention.
Right, that does hurt things a lot. That's a big difference. And I know we're going to talk about this game at the same time. I'm gonna go Judy still. Just because I think there's something scheme-wise that could just fall apart. Like is Ramondre going to get the ball down for 300? I don't know. Who knows?
I hate to do it. I probably would be on Ramondre. I'm a little scared of what happens with DTR. All right, that's 5 minutes. That's probably like 7 minutes of fantasy. Thank you for the questions. That was awesome. We hope we helped you just a little bit, and we're going to get on to the rest of the games. Jim, we're just going to go rapid fire through like 4 games here.
Yes.
and we're just going to make picks against the spread. We can get to the fun ones at the end. We've got the Cardinals traveling to Carolina. I believe that was an NFC Championship game 10 years ago or something, but it's not now. The Cardinals are a road favorite by 4.5. Who do you like?
Oh, the days of Jake Delhomme. I am going to give the points, even though it feels like a weird line. They're trying to trap me here. I think Arizona still has this, like, they're a better team. And also, Carolina's back to being pretty bad again. So.
They were awful last week, but I am going to take them again. I'm going to take Carolina plus 4.5. We mentioned no Jameis Winston. It's also no Nick Chubb, if that matters. It's very limited Nick Chubb, but he's gone as well. The Browns are traveling to the Bengals. That was a close game earlier in the season. The Bengals are a 7.5-point favorite. Which way would you lean?
Yeah, it feels like too many points. But it's not. I think they're just going to score so many points. They can score. That's all they can do. And this is like their weird Ohio Super Bowl. They'll go for it.
Weird Ohio Super Bowl, Dave Piper. There it is. Weird Ohio Super Bowl. I also am going to be on Cincinnati giving the points. The aforementioned New England Patriots, who are chef's kiss. So great. Thanks for showing up last week, Patriots. They are traveling to Buffalo, where they are 14-point underdogs. Who you got?
I just want to give a shout out to the Kayshon Boutte play where he like created an interception that was on a
handed
play.
It. Just handed it.
Just like, yo, he's like, how's your week going? No, your week's going to go better. I can help you. So, like, it was just incredible. That was truly like a creation. You know, it's like, oh, not all sacks, not interceptions are on quarterbacks. Like, no, really, they're not. Drake May's ability to be pretty good at football and like just everybody else is running into each other is pretty cool. Also, Gerard Mayo's the best. His interviews are amazing. He's just like he just says all the stuff you shouldn't say. He says the inside stuff out loud, and it's funny. He's like, I don't know, I hate my offense. It's like, yo, wait. But that said, this is a huge line, and it's a hard game to read. Other than the fact that does Josh Allen have to be amazing? Because I almost feel like he has to be. It'd be like it's like a terrible Josh Allen movie when he doesn't have to do anything. It's like Iron Man 4 or something. So. That said, I'm still going to Iron Man 4. I think he scores enough Marvel points in this one.
The Bills have taught us anything over the recent past. It's that they will beat you 49-0.
Yes.
Bills all day long. The Jags are visiting Las Vegas following the footsteps of Kirk Cousins. I don't think Kirk Cousins gets to stay, though, and play for the Jags. He's not under contract to them. The Raiders are a 1-point favorite over the Jags at home.
I mean, the Raiders are on this tour of games that no one's ever going to see. It's incredible. Like
except me.
So the Kirk Cousins game was like a testament to just like one like this. It was the epitome of the second Monday Night Football game. It was the second Monday Night Football game.
All right, what's your pick?
Yes, I will make my pick, and my pick is the Raiders. Just because
Raiders
what
-1. I don't care. It doesn't matter why. We're just making it. Let's go on to these last 4 games. The Vikings are a very good team, and the Seahawks are not as good a team, but they do tend to play pretty well at home. And apparently Geno Smith, while having to leave the Packer game, is already practicing as of our recording this and looks like he'll play against the Vikings. This is a battle of 2 defensive schemes that interest me. They're almost diametrically opposite, are they not?
Yeah, one team is just going I'm going to throw all this stuff at you immediately, and it's like there's glitter in your eye. I don't know if it's glitter. Brian Flores, whatever he wants to throw, maybe it's glitter. And he distracts you with all these shiny things in the offense, and it's fast. Whereas, like, Seattle sits back and waits for you to make mistakes, but also they're so fast at the snap. Like, their linebackers are fast, and their corners are super physical, and they're willing to come up and beat you up in a way that, like, we haven't seen in a long time. But I don't know, what I love about each coach is that they really seem to know who they have on their team, and they play that way. So
I said this on the podcast, but I thought, I mean, obviously Green Bay just blew doors, like got out to a giant lead, and Josh Jacobs just cut them up, destroyed them on that first drive, and he did a little bit on the second drive, and then nothing the rest of the game, because it's a really good run defense, and I think they got in their own heads and started over pursuing, and they were basically trying to do too much. I kind of do trust the coach to be able to get that out of them, to just say, like, watch the rest of this game. The way we played defensively the rest of this game, you actually have that in you. Just don't do the stupid stuff.
Not guessing. Right. Yeah. I mean, their patience has paid off this year, and this is probably my favorite game of the week. It's the hardest game of the week for me, too. So I was only off by 0.5 point in my
I was, too.
And it's just, I think also both quarterbacks are very similar to me. Like, I feel like also like they could switch spots and not a whole lot would change.
Did Sam Darnold not give? Pat Doherty said this on Blue Sky. Did Sam Darnold not give you "I'm going to lose the first playoff game I play in this week" vibes last week? I mean,
it's already on the Supercuts poster. It's
yeah. So you the line here is Vikings on the road giving 3.5.
Yeah.
Which half point
did you? 3, and I just
I had a 3 also.
I feel it's going to be a close game. I'm going to take the points. My fear is that the Flores thing makes Geno look like bad, like laser pointer Geno, and it gets bad. So.
Yeah, although the first half against Caleb Williams, they didn't really blitz.
No, it's true.
But maybe they just kind of felt like they didn't have to, and I guess they were kind of right. All right, 49ers in what should have been a really fun game, but now just is a battle. I need my SSRIs because it's depressing.
Yeah.
They're going to Miami, and here's the way I frame this game in my head is, I guess I was a small child when Dan Marino and Joe Montana played in the Super Bowl, but that's after that. What I do is I think to myself, these teams have both kind of been revealed as pretenders, and injury has had a ton to do with it in both cases.
It is.
And I can't even really point to either team like getting appreciably healthier. It seemed like the linebacker was healthy there for a moment against the Rams, and then he got hurt again, and Devondre Campbell wouldn't go in the game. Yeah. Greenlaw, sorry. But you're also there's no Tron Armstead. That obviously is making a huge problem. They simply can't protect Tua. So it's a mess. And the way I'm framing it in my head is the reason the Niners have looked like such a mess is that they really have had kind of a gauntlet of pretty good teams.
Yeah.
And the Dolphins look like a mess against anybody. And that's kind of the way I'm framing it in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I suppose it's the Dolphins have gotten healthier, right, in this case, whereas that hasn't really been the case for the Niners in a lot of ways. Like the impact players, they're never getting some of them back. Miami just feels like in this football still comes down to like winning. I know this again. I say these. It's like what am I like a Lombardi? Like winning a like. But what I'm
Mike or Vince?
San Francisco just seems like they still can win a fist fight, and they might just go in and punch these guys in the face. And like I don't know if they see him in like it was not that Devondre Campbell did them a favor, but then it became the whole story as opposed to like the story of like you guys still
crashing out of the playoffs and
you still like
embarrassing
and you can't score. And like you said, like you couldn't score against this Rams defense that was supposed to be bad but performed. So I don't know. There's a lot of short week ugliness last week with that. So I trust San Francisco can come out here and be the better mucky team. So, yeah.
I do too. And I actually think, I'm not even sure if the Dolphins have gotten like a lot healthier relative. I mean, Tua got healthy. That made a big difference.
True.
But no Jalen Waddle, I don't think in this game because that injury looked bad.
That's true. I forgot about Waddle. So, yes, that's not good.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. I think you nailed the analogy. It's actually Miami's favored by 1. So I like getting that point for sure. Sunday, these 2 national games, why are we doing this?
I don't know. It's like, what are we doing?
Why are we not flexing these games? They're just not good. There's a lot of good games, and these are not too good of them. Anyway, I don't know. The Cowboys, I guess, could stand up against the Buccaneers. I was wrong about the Cowboys last week in Carolina, feeling like they would be mailing it in. They absolutely did not. But, I mean, I guess you would say, Tampa as a 4-point road favorite, what are we even doing? Like, this team always kind of rises or falls to the level of its opponent, and Dallas is not a good opponent. I'm just very, very willing to give points here.
Yeah, this like not that this is a go through a quick game, but there's not a whole lot of sides to this for me. Tampa looked better on defense last week. It wasn't just their offense, like you said. That was a second half explosion, a couple of huge plays to Mike Evans. I just think like they're better than this Dallas team, and I trust that the way Baker's playing and the way that they've handled their team, like they are a 4-point road favorite in this. I actually had it at 5, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean. Put it this way, like I would be much happier having my $10 that I'm going to bet on this game on Tampa and have them blow it than I will on Dallas and be like, oh, cool, they got blown out. Like,
their path's narrow. What is it? Like, what's the path to them? It's like just huge Parsons game. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
The path is that Tampa is just a so-so team, and that so-so teams sometimes don't show up, especially on the road. Like that's the path. Is that the smart gambler might actually say, Yeah, I take points here because there are no good teams on the field.
Yeah, well, what are you buying into that you just saw it? Right.
Right.
So I'm buying into this steam that they're now the 40-point Bucks or something. Right.
Right. But I frankly will be a much happier individual. Like, this will say a lot about Tampa's, inability to win that inevitable playoff home game that they're going to get if they can't win this game.
And the team catering budget for Dallas has obviously gone down, meaning like they know. Everybody knows.
They know.
It's stressing.
But like, who is it going to be the Commanders maybe who goes to Tampa? Right. Maybe the Rams who go to Tampa.
It'll be those two kind of teams, or maybe the Seahawks somehow sneak it, however that would work.
And I guess it could be like Green Bay. I mean, we'll see how it works out. But like,
right.
This will be the measure of whether I think they will have a chance in hell. Like, you'll remember, I picked Tampa straight up against the Eagles last year.
Right.
This exact kind of thing. Like, Tampa wins down the stretch, Eagles are pooping themselves.
Right. No.
So like, this is the spot.
In Philly, that's been chirped about the Bowles thing, and how he's had Hurts. They're already starting to be afraid of it. Just to let you know. So they can't. They're not going to play in the first round. I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah. All right, and then lastly, Monday night. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why are the Saints on TV? Why do I mean, I'm going to watch them all because I'm a sicko. But like, why do you have to watch it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, first of all, I'm really big on who's starting for the Saints this week.
Spencer Rattler, I think.
I'm a big Spencer Rattler guy.
And Alvin Kamara might not play. They do have Clyde Edwards-Helaire now. He's probably not going to play. Yeah. This is the biggest spread of the week. Why are you not flexing this? Why are you making our precious boys Joe Buck and Troy Aikman look at this game?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of those fun, what he wants to say Troy Aikman moments where he just wants to really off air. He's just be like, this guy is awful. Right. But he really can't do that. That's not fair. No. I did see Spencer Rattler in a high school documentary once, and his backup quarterback was getting recruited, and he really wasn't happy for him. And then everybody at dinner got really weird. So I mean, he's got mess up the celebratory dinner kind of vibes. And so with that said, I still think he covers too many points.
14.5 points, and we all have to watch it. And by the third quarter, it's almost surely going to be talking about playoff position. So now, Troy, when you were playing and you had a chance to go for the 3 seed, what was your mentality? Oh, God, it's going to be rough. Is 14.5? You know what? I'm going to take Green Bay because screw this game.
Probably
I'm taking Green Bay because screw this game. That's why. But you know what? What do you all think? Tell us in the chat here now. Tell us your best bet of the week in the chat, or if you're watching after the fact, tell us down in the comments. We're about to give you our best bets, but pick yours because we'll pick someone who gets it right and we'll mention your name in the show next week. Jim, what are your 2 favorite point spreads of the week?
Yeah, all right, this is called the parlay. My name used to be Pete Parlay. That was an illegal name I used in Nevada, but let's go. Yeah, we're going birds, of course. Yeah,
all right, Gary.
Tease it to 42 if you need to, and then we're obviously going with this Denver team. I think they really roll.
Denver. All right. Wow, I'm on the other side of one of your best bets. That never feels great. I'm on the Bills just to absolutely take every. They're going to pretend Belichick is on the sideline just so they can score another touchdown.
It's the water boy.
This is going to be a smashing. So great. I'll give them all day long, and I'll actually take the 49ers. I was kind of surprised given your reaction to that. I feel like San Francisco's going to win that game. So
probably.
I'd be pretty surprised if they didn't. To be honest,
would have been good to go with the game that I thought that was going to win. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not taking away Gary's act.
It just felt right, Denver. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us again in the chat right now. Tell us down in the comments below if you're watching after the fact. Tell us your best bet. We will mention you on the show next week. Thank you very much to all of you who were here live. We had a blast with you. Thank you to everybody else who's watching and or listening. Thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring us. If you want to give back to the show, you can download that DraftKings app, sign up using the code HarrisTube, make one $5 bet. If you nail it, you'll get $150 in bonus bets put into your account right away that you can mess around with, and you'd be helping us out just a little bit. We would appreciate that. I want to thank Jim for being great. I want to thank Gary for being crazy. And I want to thank Dave Piper for being the best producer we could ask for. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.